Yo, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Gridiron Drive. I am Anthony Correnti, joined as always by my co-host Peter Trena. And if you are like us, fans of teams that didn't make the NFL playoffs, we're with you. We're here with you. The season has mercifully come to an end, and it is time to mock draft once again for those teams that did not make the playoffs. The draft order is set for picks 1 through 18. Pete, how we feeling? We got the holidays behind us. Happy New Year. How we feeling?
I'm feeling rejuvenated, man. Holidays were good. Obviously I got a 2-year-old, so that was the first fun Christmas for us. It's good times all around. I think it was a great opportunity to rest up. I mean, the football season has been awful for me. I haven't been this checked out in a while. Usually I'm hardcore into every game, and I just this is the first year that I really just I don't need to watch the Giants this week.
It gets to the point where it's like, oh my God. I was watching Jets Dolphins the last week of the season.
Yeah.
And, when it became evident that Denver was obviously going to beat Kansas City and Miami kind of felt like just stopped trying. We were watching and everybody was like, why is the other team not even trying? It just felt like you were watching a preseason game at that point.
Yep.
But yeah, it is done. Regular season in the books. Playoffs for the teams who made it. Congratulations if you're a fan of one of those teams. We aspire to be back there someday. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to get those teams that didn't make the playoffs back to the playoffs by nailing this first round draft pick for them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and comment down below if we're talking about your team. If you like the picks we made, if you hate the picks we made, we want to hear all of it. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any more mock draft content, plenty of other draft content, plenty more fantasy content, all that stuff coming as the offseason rumbles approaches at breakneck speed. So we'll get into all of it. And without further ado, should we open up the draft here?
Let's get it started, man.
All right, Pete's going to take the odds.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's discuss what we're doing here.
Yeah, Pete's going to take the odds. I'll take the evens with the caveat of when we get to pick 6 and 7, I'll do both of those so I can do the Jets, and then he'll do 8 and 9. So then we'll get back on track there.
All right.
And you are on the clock with the Tennessee Titans because no team could hold on to this first overall draft pick. Everybody a team would get there for a week and then they'd win a weird game, and the Giants, the Patriots, nobody could hold on to that number 1 spot. Tennessee swoops in at the last minute. Thanks, Joe Milton, and catapults Tennessee to number 1 overall. So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, Ashton Genty. No, I'm kidding. This pick is, so we're doing this based on kind of how we feel, right? But with the caveat that, hey, it's got to be realistic. So,
got to be realistic, yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with Cam Ward here. I think that I've heard some rumblings that he's their guy, that they would prefer out of the quarterbacks. I think the Mayo King is done. As much as I liked Levis, he hasn't really shown much.
Pour one out for your guy.
Yeah.
By pour one out, I mean pour one dollop of mayo out for him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Tough to see it. But yeah, I think that's where they would go, and I wouldn't object to that if I was a Titan fan.
Yeah, I think so too. The upside's all there. Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami, goes first overall to the Tennessee Titans. Puts me on the clock with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, this is
it's the first interesting spot. Quarterback will be the trendy pick here. Okay. I'm not going to take a quarterback. All right. And not just to leave Shador on the board for the Giants.
So you're making it easy for me.
Yeah. The only reason I'm not going to take a quarterback here, and they very well might take a quarterback, is just that if I'm going to put my realistic hat on, I think that there's a chance that they're the team that does what the Steelers did with Russ this year with Kirk Cousins. I think that Kirk's getting the bag from Atlanta still. Atlanta's going to cut him. They give Kirk the vet minimum deal to, figure out quarterbacking camp, whoever's healthiest, whoever looks best, pair him back with Stefanski. I think that they will not necessarily I think they will, but I think that there's a solid chance that universe exists. So for that reason, I'm going to forego quarterback here, and I am going to take Travis Hunter. Um, Travis Hunter, obviously Heisman Trophy winner, plays both ways at Colorado. I still think he's a corner. I still think he's a defensive back, but they could do a lot worse than pairing him with Denzel Ward. If they want to sprinkle him in on offense, you have him, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman. Hopefully he gets back healthy after he was coming on a little bit this season. Yeah, and I mean, if he decides he wants to play wide receiver, I think he could still be a really good wide receiver as well. So I'll take probably the best player in the draft, I guess, at this point, Travis Hunter, second overall. And your New York Football Giants are on the clock
I
with
like
the third
that.
overall pick.
We are on the clock. Oh boy. If I were the Giants here, I'd be taking phone calls, but I'm going to be realistic here. And honestly, I like what you said about the Browns with Kirk Cousins. I think any of the Titans, Giants, Browns, Raiders could be in that position where, I don't love these quarterbacks. Maybe I'll get a Kirk. Maybe I'll, Sam. One of them's got to be the Sam Darnold team, or he's probably going to stay with the Vikings. But I think if I'm the Giants here, you have to go to Shador. They have a lame duck GM basically, and coach. They need to get quarterback right. I don't think I would, if I were a GM, I'd be taking him top 5, but I do like him enough. I think that he throws the ball beautifully. He doesn't have that. I don't know what it is. He doesn't
It's
have the
not the same
elite.
level of upside.
Yeah, he doesn't have the elite arm talent, but he's accurate. Like, he's a little small. He's not like Bryce Young, but he's just not like your prototypical
right.
top 5 pick.
He doesn't have what the guys that we're getting used to seeing go in this range have, like the big elite size profile, or like crazy arm strength, or crazy dual threat athleticism. Like he's fine, and I think most years, we're talking about him back around 1, something like that, but he's definitely going to go early.
Yeah, and I don't dislike Shador. I think he's going to be a fine quarterback, but just want to put that into the world.
Yeah, all right. Shador Sanders, quarterback from Colorado, goes pick number 3 to Pete's New York Giants. On the clock with the New England Patriots. This could go a variety of ways. I mean, they need a lot. They've got quarterback figured out, seemingly. They have Joe Milton. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I was going to say that, but if you didn't say that, so I'm glad you did.
Just kidding. They have Drake May. They need some work on the offensive line. They need some more playmakers for Drake May. They could use a little of everything, honestly. They have Christian Gonzalez. They have one good lockdown corner. This, to me, and I'm taking into account here, and I'm just assuming that Mike Vrabel is head coach of the New England Patriots. Boo. I think Teteroa McMillan will be like a trendy pick here, but I don't necessarily think it's what will happen. I think they're a team that'll try and get in the mix of throwing the bag at T. Higgins if Higgins is out there and available. To me, it comes down to Abdul Carter or Mason Graham. And I think I'm going to take Abdul Carter. I like think that you could plug him into that defense. Abdul Carter, the edge from Penn State, kind of freaky guy, can win off the edge, can move him around, can play off ball a little bit. I think in Vrabel's scheme, he could really cause some havoc there. So Abdul Carter's the route I'm going to go at 4 for the Pats, and puts you up at 5 with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Pats are in a good spot there to kind of just get one of the top 3 players in the draft, basically.
Yeah.
All right, for the Jags, similar to the Patriots, I got the quarterback figured out. This is kind of a good spot for them too. PFS is in the guard, tackle, and cornerback. I don't know if I would go Will Johnson here. I would probably be too enticed, and I would have to take Mason Graham if I were them. So that's who I'm going to lock in. I think you get a defensive lineman, pair him with Hines Allen, and oh my God, who's the guy from Georgia they took over first overall? Oh,
Trayvon Walker.
Yeah. Who he's been better, but he's just not.
He's been okay. He just hasn't been Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah. So That's tough, but I think that's a nice defensive line there that they got there. And that, it's building on a strength. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that as well. Just get a good player there.
Yeah.
Just get Trent Baalke, do the right thing. Like, come on. You somehow held on to your job. Do the right thing.
That dude has got to have something on Shotcom because
Crazy. How does this guy keep a job? It's insane.
he is Teflon. Like,
It's absolutely insane. Puts me up at pick number 6 with the Las Vegas Raiders. Quarterback needy, but I don't think it's happening here.
how the Bama fan is skipping the Bama quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think Jalen Milroe. Maybe by draft day, but hey, we said what I would do based in realism, and I would not take Jalen Milroe at 6 overall. I think I'm gonna take Will Johnson here. They could use another corner. I think Will Johnson feels like pretty safely like a top 5 sort of talent in this draft. So I'm going to go ahead and take Michigan cornerback Will Johnson for the Raiders at 6 overall, and puts me on the clock with the New York Jets at 7th overall. And folks, things have gone terribly. The quarterbacks are gone. Mason Graham's gone. Abdul Carter's gone. This isn't how I want draft day to go. I think it comes down to, man, oh man. I should also say
for me.
It's easy for you?
Yeah.
It's just we're dealing in a lot of hypotheticals that make it feel complex. I think what I'm going to do, I'm not taking a quarterback here. I'm tempted to take one of the tackles, but I could see them bringing back Morgan Moses. And then if you bring back Morgan Moses, are you going to spend this early of a pick on another tackle after you just did that with Olu last year? I'm going to take Teteroa McMillan.
There we go.
And just pair him with Garrett Wilson. Devontae is probably not coming back after Rodgers probably is not coming back. I think that's kind of foolish to think that he'll come back sans Rodgers. Mm-hmm. And then you have yourself a nice little duo, because if Devontae's not back, wide receiver is a big time need regardless of whoever is quarterback, because Lazard will be gone. Devontae will be gone. They got nothing out of Malachi Corley this year. It's Garrett and nobody else then. So I'll take Arizona wide receiver. Teteroa McMillan at 7 overall, and you are up with the Carolina Panthers at 8.
And this is so funny because I did a mock draft before we went live, and so far I've gotten every single pick.
Oh,
correct. Yeah.
Pete
not correct, but I guessed how we would pick them, I guess, apparently. Yeah. All right, so pick number 8 here. The board has fallen kind of how I thought it was going to fall. The Panthers, Bryce Young, he did his thing at the end of the year. They'll keep him. I think they'll, keep progressing with him. They could probably use another wide receiver, a legit wide receiver. I think they'll probably go after that in free agency. I don't know if I'd, pick Luther Burden here. Mm-hmm. If that was me, I think there's a couple defensive players I'd have my eyes on, maybe an offensive lineman, but I think ultimately I'm going to take is it Jalen or Jalen? I'm assuming Jalen Walker from Georgia. He's a linebacker, but he's really kind of an edge player. Does a little bit of both. I like him. I think he would help them tremendously. Just get good players.
Good players, man. If you're picking in the top 10, you just need good players. You're up again, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, 9 for the Saints for you.
Okay, the Saints. And if I'm a Saints fan, I'm jumping for joy right now because basically you have your pick of the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
And if that's me, I'm taking Will Campbell. I think they just need some healthy bodies up there. I think most people say he projects as a guard. I don't care. I think he's probably the best offensive lineman in the draft. Anytime you get a chance to draft a big guy up front, I'm doing it. So I like that for them. They have so much to work on. They're like, they have negative cap space. They just get good players. And, if you could bolster your line, just do it.
He's one of those guys too, that like, I know that we're doing the thing of like, oh, he's probably a guard at the next level. And like you said, if he is, fine. But like, maybe we should see if he could play tackle first, I know that we do this every year and we just look at the measurables and we're like, no, that guy's a guard at the next level. But I'd like to see them at least try him out at tackle. And, maybe you end up in a situation like the Jets ended up with Elijah Vera Tucker, where you have some, or like Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name on Tennessee. Peter Skoronski.
Oh, Skronzy.
Where you have some position flexibility, where you can play inside, kick outside in a pinch. Like maybe Campbell's best at guard, but if you lose a tackle, you can bump him outside to play tackle because you
Right.
have somebody else to fill in on the interior. So I like that pick. Puts me up at 10 for the Chicago Bears. Yeah, kind of like the Saints. It's get an offensive lineman at all costs. It's protect Caleb, please. Like it's priority number probably 1, 2, and 3. I'm just gonna go ahead and take Texas tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. And if he was gone, if you took him at 9, I probably would have just taken Will Campbell. So just take the top offensive lineman on your board, Chicago, and protect that quarterback you just took first overall.
Nothing
There's a
wrong with
weird
that.
one. It feels weird that San Francisco's picking 11, but you're up with the San Francisco 49ers at pick 11.
Yeah, that is wild, but they kind of needed that. Um, you stole my pick there. If I were the Niners, they need offensive line help. I think, man, they're not going to go for a wide receiver. I could see them going. I think what I'm going to do here. People are going to say, some people will say that's a little too early, but I don't know, man. I like Malachi Starks from Georgia. I think,
Okay.
They got some safeties over there, but they got Ufunga and what's his name? Who's their other safety? I don't know. I just feel like they're always hurt in the back end, and they could just. Is it Chardavius? No, he was a chief. They could use players in the back end. They could use players on the offensive line. I just think that anytime you can get a player like that, and he's a safety, the 49ers can use a luxury pick. You know what I mean? They're a team.
Yeah.
They had some bad
He's a
injury
very
luck
good
this
player.
year. Yeah.
He's a very good player. And was pretty early on, felt pretty consistently mocked to the Jets. And my thing, 11 feels better than taking him at, 5, 6, something like that. 11 to 18, that feels like the range for Starks to me.
And the Niners aren't a typical, 11 pick team. They're not supposed to be. You know what I mean? It's not like if you're just a perennial bad team, they're not. So they can afford that, I think.
All right, I'm up with pick number 12 for the Dallas Cowboys. I think I picked for the Cowboys last time we mocked. I'm picking for the Cowboys again. I'm making the same pick for the Cowboys again until it's time to not make this pick. We said it last time. It is Ashton Genty until it's not for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care how many mock drafts you see this pick in. I don't care if it's the easiest pick to make in the mock draft. They need a running back in the worst way. Ashton Genty is the best one in the class. Ashton Genty, Boise State running back. Should have been the Heisman winner.
Yeah. You're telling me.
So I'll take Ashton Genty for the Dallas Cowboys and puts you up with the Miami Dolphins at pick number 13.
Yeah, Genty, that'll forever burn me, man. I mean, I knew there was a chance he didn't win that, but I had a plus 2,500 ticket on him to win. I was really hoping to cash that. But I digress. The Miami Dolphins are in disarray. Tyreek Hill does not want to play there.
I was going to say, do they need a wide receiver?
Well, that's the thing. It's that would be such a Miami pick. Our offensive line is in shambles, but we just lost Tyreek Hill.
More speed.
Yeah,
Who's the fastest wide receiver on the board?
Who's a 4.24 guy. But I think if I'm the Dolphins here, I need some offensive lineman help, and I think I'm going to go with Josh Simmons from Ohio State. I think they just need to stop being so cute and getting the speed guy and just do the right thing and just you need the big guys too. It can't all just be speed.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely need to address the offensive line without
question.
I
thought about Luther Burden there for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
even though he's not a burner, but
it's totally in the range of possibilities for him. All right, I'm up with pick 14 for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm gonna make a pick here.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna make a pick here. It's not, I'm not replacing Anthony Richardson. Look, we're giving Anthony Richardson, I don't want to say one more year because the hook's probably shorter than one more year.
Yeah.
But they run it back with Ballard. They run it back with Shane Steichen. They need a piece, right, that's going to help them right now. These guys are not making it that much longer. I don't know how Chris Ballard's made it this long, honestly, if I'm being truthful. Kind of like Trent Baalke. I think they could use a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a tight end. I'm going to take Penn State tight end Tyler Warren at 14 overall.
Okay.
I love Tyler Warren, man. I really do. Not to turn into John Gruden there. Like, I love this guy, man.
He's a
But
grinder.
God can do a little of everything.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so much more multiple than Michigan tight end Colston Loveland. Like, you can use him as a receiver. You could keep him in line as a blocker. You could do like weird wildcat stuff with him because he has the quarterback background in high school. Like, I really like Tyler Warren. I think come draft day, we're talking about him a lot more consistently as a mid-first round pick. So I'll take Penn State tight end Tyler Warren at 14 overall. Puts you up with the Atlanta Falcons at pick 15.
Penn State is secretly tight end you, apparently. You know?
Right? Low key, they are.
It was a Fryermuth started it. Dude, the Giants, 4th round pick.
Yeah. What was it? Theo Johnson, right?
Theo Johnson. There's another one in there that I'm missing.
And they have another good one waiting. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but there's another good one waiting behind Tyler Warren.
Who's it? Anyway, let's not get off track here. The Falcons. Okay, Ashton Genthy's already been taken, so I'm not going to take a running back here. They need who's the best defensive lineman available, because they need anybody who could rush the passer. Jeez, that was tough. You know what? I think I'm going to go a little off PFF's board here. I'm going to go James Pierce Jr. in Tennessee. They just need a pure pass rusher. They just need. They've had the opportunity to do this like 3 years in a row to draft a pass rusher, and they just disregard it all the time. I think, get somebody in there. They should have a good offense. They got a good offensive line.
Penix looks all right. Like
Penix, yeah.
Build out that defense, man.
Yeah.
And James Pierce Jr., I like going a little rogue against PFF's rankings there, because I think he's another guy that NFL teams might covet a little more than we're talking about right now. All right, puts me up at pick 16 with the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are an interesting team. They really are.
Are they good? Are they bad?
Yeah, they're like kind of an enigma. Like, I don't know. Like they are
literally the middle of the pack, pick 16 out of 32.
Yeah, literally the middle of the pack. Like, they're not great. They're not bad, but they're building something.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to keep building that offensive line, though. And I'm going to go ahead and take West Virginia tackle Wyatt Millum. Plug him in there and help shore up that offensive line. Look, they loved running the ball with James Conner. And James Conner is like a fine wine. He's getting better with age. They have Trey Benson waiting in the wings. I think they're going to want to keep running the ball. Marvin Harrison Jr., didn't pop the way people wanted him to, but it wasn't like a terrible rookie year like everybody wants to paint out. You got some pieces there. You have Trey McBride. Keep building that offensive line. Keep Kyler upright, and see if you can make some progress. So I'll take West Virginia tackle Wyatt Millum for the Arizona Cardinals. Puts you up with the Bengals at pick 17.
If I'm the Bengals at pick 17, I am sprinting to the podium for Luther Burden III.
Yeah, too easy. We left him there too long.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, they're going to lose T. They got to pay Chase. I guess you could argue, I mean, they definitely do need a defensive lineman, but you could find a defensive lineman in free agency, or, maybe not, you don't have to get the cream of the crop offensive lineman, but you could find some guys to plug in there. They're going to have a new defensive coordinator, but yeah, I would be sprinting. That's just their MO.
Yeah. And it's not crazy to think it falls this way for them. Like, the really wide receiver needy teams are all kind of behind them. Like, if outside of if we had the Pats pass on wide receiver, the Jets took McMillan, and we had the Panthers pass on wide receiver. But outside of that, I don't think there was too many real leaps to be like, this team needs a wide receiver right now.
The Raiders could use a wide receiver, but they're not taking one at that spot, I don't think.
Yeah. Puts me up to round out these non-playoff teams. Pick number 18 with the Seattle Seahawks. Do the Seahawks need a quarterback? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
If you ask Seahawks fans, I think they're kind of done with Geno. But I think
Mike McDonald was a little Did you see that
Yeah.
answer they gave when they asked
Yeah.
if Gino would be his quarterback? It was kind of like, I
I
guess,
think
man.
so. Yeah.
It's like, wow, what a vote of confidence.
Thanks, coach.
um, but with him being there, with Mike McDonald being there, it starts to lend me to think like Baltimore,
Hmm.
right? And Ravens. So that brings me to edge pass rush and offensive line pretty much.
Right. They could really use an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
There's nobody like standing out here, but they could
No.
definitely use an offensive lineman.
I think that is like where they would lean. But yeah, like you said, I think the guys they would really covet have gone. So yeah, okay. I'll stick on the offensive line. I am going to take Minnesota tackle Ariante Ursary. Um, they need guards. They need tackles. Just take an offensive lineman and shore up that offensive line. That
I like that.
is the first 18 picks. PFF here simulated the rest for us. But to give you the rundown, it was Cam Ward, first overall, Travis Hunter, 2, Shador Sanders, 3, Abdul Carter, 4, Mason Graham, 5, Will Johnson, 6, Tedero McMillan, 7, Jalen Walker, 8, Will Campbell, 9, Kelvin Banks Jr., 10, Malachi Starks, 11, Ashton Genty, 12, Josh Simmons, 13, Tyler Warren, 14, James Pierce Jr., 15, Wyatt Millum, 16, Luther Burden III, 17, and Ariante Ursary, 18. Pete, anything glaring really jump off at you from the picks that we made? Did anybody fall too far? Anybody fall out of the top 18 to the playoff teams that you were shocked about? What stands out to you in round one?
Honestly, nothing really. I mean, it's kind of chalk. I mean, Tyler Warren, you know, I agree with you. I think he'll ascend up draft boards, but I guess that would be like a lot of people are talking about Loveland being the first tight end. James Pierce is probably a little bit early on most people's boards, I would imagine. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the mocks from like the big name guys yet, but I don't know, man. This is pretty chalky. It feels like
Yeah, I
there's nothing
wonder.
crazy.
I wonder, like as we get closer, feels like guys like Michael Williams from Georgia will end up
Hmm.
creeping up probably a little further. But we do the thing
There's
every
always a
year.
Georgia guy. Yeah.
Yeah, always a Georgia guy. Um, the one other guy to me that like I know we let Luther Burden fall a little far. I really think the NFL is gonna like Emeka Egbuka. Like, and not to say that he'll necessarily go ahead of Luther Burden, but it would not shock me if, like in this photo here where the PFF simulated the rest of round one, Emeka Egbuka went 20, and like I feel like that's about right, but
Hmm.
it wouldn't shock me if he ends up going a little bit earlier than that. He just feels so clean from what he does, and like it might not be the flashiest, sexiest wide receiver, but I just think from day one you're getting a really like rock solid guy that you can count on to come in and play real reps.
No, I agree with that. I think this feels like a 2023 wide receiver draft where there was a couple guys, but nobody really went till I think it was like in the 20s when the Vikings took a.
Yeah, the run started and it was like
Was it the Vikings?
Addison, Flowers, Quentin
Yeah,
Johnston, right? Like that, it was
yeah.
all a run like right after each other.
I think they were all playoff teams.
Yeah, yeah,
So I could see something like that. But then I understand what you're saying. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Burden and, Ibuka were top 15 picks. Wide
yeah,
receivers always tend to go early, and rightfully so.
yeah, yeah. It is becoming more and more a wide receiver league. All right. Well, you got any other final thoughts before we wrap this one out of here and ship out of town?
How many quarterbacks do you think go in round one, realistically? Do you think this scenario here nailed it?
I think that let's see, did they sim anybody else going in round
No.
one? No. It wouldn't shock me if we get a third. If it's somebody at the top of round two that wants to trade in.
Yeah.
But I think with the guys that are likely to be there, and we know Milrow declared, Jalen Milrow, quarterback from Alabama, has declared. We're still waiting on, some other stuff. Like I still think we know Jackson Dart declared. Still
PFF
waiting on
hates
Quinn.
Jackson Dark. They have him as
PFF
like
hates Jackson Dart.
200, like ranked in 200s.
But I also wonder, like, logic would say, oh, if one of those teams at the top of round 2 really likes one of those players, do they try and trade into the end of round 1 so they get the 5th-year option? But then I also wonder if those same teams are wondering, like, the demand, is anybody else really going to jump us? Like, maybe we could just wait it out a little bit longer this year. But, if somebody loves Jackson Star or Jackson Dart, Jesus, man, that was mental Olympics right there. If somebody loves Jackson Dart, or I don't, I feel like it would be him. Like, I feel like it would be him, or he feels like the most likely one to me, because I don't know if a team is going to be able to bring themselves to trade up into the end of round 1 for Milrow. Like, all the tools are there, but if you're trading up for him into the end of round 1, oh man, I don't know. Like,
What about
he's
Quinn?
not ready. Like, you need some time.
Has Quinn
Quinn, same
declared?
thing. No, not yet. I don't
Okay.
think. And I know there was a rumor floating around that, like, he had a fat offer waiting in the transfer portal somewhere. Like, so I don't know. Quinn Ewers, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, because we've stand you for quite some time, declare, man. Like,
Yeah.
come on. You can't go back to college. You can't. You just can't. If you get hurt one more time, people are going to lose their minds.
Yeah.
Everybody's already upset about it all the time. And I can't, not to turn this into a Quinn Ewers rant, but I can't do this thing anymore where every single play that features Quinn Ewers under center is Twitter or X is unbearable. It's, oh, can we get this guy off the field? Put Arch in. Like, oh my God, even when he makes a good play, it's like, Quinn Ewers absolutely sucks. He's terrible.
I see you
Like,
found
oh
all my
my
burners.
God. Yeah. Trying to drive the price down.
It's weird because I love Quinn, but I'm Manning Stan, obviously. So I'm in a tough
Yeah.
spot.
Hey, Arch is great. I just feel like Quinn gets some real
Yeah.
undue hate because of Arch being behind him.
Yeah.
Not that Quinn is a perfect prospect by any means,
No.
but yeah, I don't know. I guess that was a long-winded answer for. I feel like 2 are definitely going round 1, but I think 3 they'll set the line at 2.5, right? Like 3 if I had to guess. Like, if I had to call it today, I think a third will go.
Yeah, it'll be a real juicy 2.5 too. Like you'll make some money if that hits.
Yeah.
One more quarterback question for you, Drew Aller. If he declares, I
7
don't know if I should-
overall to the Jets.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, does he, does he get into the top 5? Like, or maybe I should say
think so.
top 6 if you include the Raiders.
I think so. I think a world exists where if Aller decides I'm going in, there's a world where it's QB1.
Because
I really think that. Like,
I was saying that with the Giants pick, like, he's 6'5", he's probably 220 or whatever he is. Like he's got the arm strength. Like he's
where the NFL's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not on PFF's board. Okay. Yeah, but
I think if he decided to declare that, like, he's at minimum a top 10 pick, and I think top 5 is a real possibility.
I heard.
Just look at it. It's like Tennessee. We had Cleveland pass on a quarterback, but we know they need to solve it long term. The Giants, there's 3. The Raiders, there's 4. The Jets, there's 5. And the Saints, there's 6. There's 6 teams in the top 10. So that legitimately have a pretty pressing need to solve quarterback. I think he goes pretty comfortably top 10 if he declares. What would be crazy, though, if he decided to declare is like his backup already transferred?
I was just going to say that. Yeah. I would love nothing more than for Penn State to get screwed, though. So I'm kidding. Not really.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for us. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the content we have coming your way as the off season approaches. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what picks you like the most, hate the most, agree with, disagree with. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast or follow the podcast. Leave a rating, review. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. Doesn't take a ton of time. Helps out the show a ton. And we would certainly appreciate it. And we will be back next week.
Finally back on schedule, right?
Yeah, we're back, baby. We're back on schedule. So enjoy it. Wild card weekend coming up. Everybody have a good time. May your playoff hopes, if you're a fan of a playoff team, go swimmingly. Unless you're a fan of the Bills. Or in Pete's case, I guess the Eagles. Or the Commanders.
Commanders and the Commies.
Yeah. So we wish you nothing but bad luck. But to everybody else, wee! Hey, have a great time, and we will talk to you guys later.
Keep the drive alive. Don't forget to like and subscribe.